Hey everybody, this is Fred Richani of TSC here with your All Elite Wrestling Week in Review, the very first edition. This is being recorded on September 2nd. We are exactly 1 month away from AEW on TNT. I recently did a recap of the All Out PPV and I lost track of time. I was thinking, it's a couple months away, but no. This year has gone by so freaking quickly, right? From the first of the year where we found out that AEW was a thing to now AEW being on TV, competing against WWE NXT on Wednesday nights. Now, of course, NXT will have a 2-week head start. They're debuting on September 18th on USA Network. Things will be interesting, but let's recap just briefly what occurred on All Out. If you want an in-depth recap of All Out, you can check out my All Out recap currently on the TSC News podcast feed, YouTube, and our Facebook page, youtube.com/The Sports Courier, facebook.com/The Sports Courier. All right, so in the pre-show, Nyla Rose won the Battle Royal, last eliminating Britt Baker to earn a title shot. She faces the winner of Riho versus Hikaru Shida, which was Rio, and those two will take on each other on October 2nd for the vacant AEW Women's World title, and that should be a pretty damn good match. Definitely going to be something along the lines of David and Goliath. I'm kind of excited for that one. Nyla Rose, not going to lie, I wasn't impressed at first. When I first saw her, I thought she was all right, but she's really stepped up big time. I think she's really gotten more comfortable with her character being the monster. I don't even know if she's a monster heel or a monster babyface. Whatever she is, she's playing a great monster. She's got a great look, and I really feel like the crowd is taken to her. And this is the thing I'm interested in really seeing with a lot of these young cats in AEW. A lot of these people, majority of these people, have never had national TV exposure, have never been performing on TV week to week to week. I know MJF and a few other guys have performed in MLW, and MLW has a weekly show on beIN Sports and YouTube, but that's not the scale of being on a show that's on TNT, one of the top cable networks in North America. So best of luck to them, but from what I've seen from Nyla Rose so far, so good. And to me, this kind of reminds me of when Awesome Kong back in the day was kicking ass in Impact Wrestling. You had Gail Kim. Granted, Rio's not Gail Kim as far as being established like Gail was coming into TNA from a WWE run, but still, I have a feeling that this could be their version of the legendary Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong feud. Now, who would I have go over? Rio or Nyla Rose? Ooh, that's a tough one. I actually think I'd have Nyla Rose win, hold on to the title for a little while, be a dominant champion, and then eventually Rio or somebody else, some other woman you build up, maybe Britt Baker, comes in and finally overcomes Nyla Rose. But if I were her, I'd give her a monster push. She's getting over. The crowd likes her a lot. She's a badass. Why not? Go for it. All right. The rest of the card as follows. Private Party defeated Angelico and Jack Evans. I missed this match, unfortunately, but I heard it was really good. SoCal Uncensored, Chris Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky defeated the Jurassic Express of Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt. Not gonna lie, I didn't really get Marco Stunt at first. I still kind of don't. He's a guy that looks like a child from Stranger Things. By all accounts, a really nice kid. He does some cool athletic stuff, but I don't know what his ceiling is, right? He's taken a lot of crazy bumps on the indies. It's great that he got his contract. It's great that he's making money and going to be able to be on national TV. But, long term, is this a guy that could be your world champion? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that this dude can't carve out a niche for himself. And a lot of people are against him. I'm not really against him and Jungle Boy and guys like that. You got to think about this. ECW, WCW, WWE at their peaks, they always had variety. Not everybody has to be a world champion. It's like a great basketball team. You could have great role players. You could have a great sixth man. So I think Marco Stunt is best served being in an act like this with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, where they seem to really be catering to kids. They seem to attract a lot of families. Luchasaurus is a badass, but he's got the mask and is somebody that could be really marketable. Jungle Boy as well. Of course, he's got the bloodline with his late great father, Luke Perry, and he's improved in the ring a lot as well. So we'll definitely see what happens here. SoCal Uncensored, did get the win, but I think the future is bright for Jurassic Express. And, when I talk about Jurassic Express and their potential and how some people may not get them, it's kind of similar to how I didn't get Orange Cassidy. Now, I'm not a huge Orange Cassidy fan. I haven't really watched a lot of Orange Cassidy, but he clearly is connecting with the crowd. And for those that don't know who Orange Cassidy is, he's kind of a dude that was transported from Greece or something, or the West Side Story. He's rocking the denim. He's got the sunglasses. He's got his hands in his pockets. And his gimmick is he just doesn't care. Now, I remember when Carlito had the gimmick of I spit in the face of people that don't want to be cool. And that was kind of funny in an ironic way for a little while. And then it just kind of got, a little boring after that. But Orange Cassidy is signed to AEW. I would like to think, much like Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy and all these other young cats that are signed to AEW, I'd like to think he got his contract based on the fact not just that he has a gimmick that's starting to connect, but because he can actually work. Now, whether or not we'll see him work, that remains to be seen, but I do think it's good to have some variety. You don't want to overdo it with comedy. I know it being the Elite from week to week has a lot of comedy, and it's a hit or miss depending on who you are. Comedy is subjective, but if AEW, for the most part, keeps a serious approach, sprinkled in with some comedy, sprinkled in with some family-friendly stuff like the Jurassic Express, I think it could be all right. But remember, this promotion's not even a year old yet. They got time. We had Pac, a.k.a. Neville, defeat Kenny Omega via referee stoppage with the Brutalizer. It was more or less a twister, very reminiscent of Eddie Bravo and Korean Zombie from the UFC. That looked brutal. Kenny Omega passed the hell out, and I'm kind of shocked here that they just keep beating Kenny Omega. Yeah, he won a match against Shima, but he lost to Chris Jericho just like that. He lost to Pac like this. Just very interesting booking, I'll say. I'm not hating on it, but Kenny Omega's a guy that is somebody that's been a champion for the LGBTQ community. He's a guy that connects with a lot of different people from a lot of walks of life. He speaks fluent Japanese, was a huge international star, was a guy that really crossed over the last couple of years. HBO Canada even made a documentary about him and the Golden Lovers and that whole story and how it's connected with fans of all backgrounds and everything. And he's losing to Pac here. I don't get it. I don't really understand it. But you know what? They got time. They got time because come October 2nd and beyond, it's a fresh start. It's a clean slate. They already have that hardcore base. Kenny Omega's not going to be hurt by one or two losses, but to me, he's a guy that you need to keep at the tippity top. It is going to be interesting to see a guy like Kenny Omega, though, week to week, because you got to remember, New Japan, they have monthly events. They have some promos here and there, but they don't have week to week television where they're always live, 1 to 2 hours a week. This is the first time in Kenny Omega's career that he's going to be on TV 1 to 2 hours a week in a live environment and now a competitive environment with WWE. Going to be very interesting. What was very interesting and insane was Jimmy Havoc defeating Darby Allin and Joey Janela. This match was nuts. This was a triple threat Cracker Barrel clash. I'm not kidding. That's what it was called. Sponsored by Cracker Barrel. These guys killed each other to have a hell of a match, but I just wasn't a fan of some of the bumps these dudes took. They're not even on national TV yet, and they're taking bumps back first into the apron, back first on the floor, onto their neck, onto their head. I know that's the MO for these dudes and everything, but man, I remember the Attitude Era. I remember the ECW era, and while there was some great stuff, there were a lot of guys and girls that were in rough shape within 5 to 10 years of that era. And many of them are no longer with us for that reason. So something to keep in mind, dudes. I wish them the very best, but something to keep in mind. We had the Dark Order, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, who looked straight out of WWE 2K Community Creations, defeat the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. I wasn't really into this match. All the guys worked hard, but the Dark Order clearly right now is not connecting with the crowd. And I'm not saying cut bait, keep them around, but I don't think they're ones to necessarily warrant a big push in the tag team division just yet. As I mentioned before, Rio defeated Hikaru Shida. Really good match to have the winner advance to face Nyla Rose for the inaugural AEW Women's title on October 2nd. It's Rio versus Rose. That should be a fun match. Maybe not for Rio, but it will be a fun match for us. We had Cody with MJF defeat Shawn Spears. Cody had a little help from his main man, Arn Anderson, who interfered. Arn Anderson was in the back, got fed up with Tully Blanchard interfering on Spears' behalf. Cody got the clean win. This was the hottest the crowd maybe was all freaking night. Back and forth action. I wouldn't call this a great match from a technical standpoint, but in terms of storytelling, before the match, during the match, after the match, I really did enjoy it, and it planted the seeds for Cody to have a riff with MJF. There was some criticism before the match, though. Cody Rhodes was entering the ring with DDP, my main man, a good friend of TSC, his wife Brandy, and Pharaoh, his dog. And, well, if anybody knows anything about pets, especially cats and dogs, which I have, they don't like loud noises. They don't like fireworks. They sure as hell don't like pyro. And that pyro that Cody Rhodes had clearly spooked the hell out of poor Pharaoh, visibly on television, on camera. And AEW faced a lot of criticism. The AEW owner, Tony Khan, addressed the controversy after the show with Wrestling Media and said, hey, he wasn't cool with that. It wasn't his idea, and it won't happen again. So, Cody, you're great, but you got to take the L for that one. As for the guy that actually took the L in the match, Shawn Spears, Didn't really make much sense for Shawn Spears to lose, but I don't know. I don't want to sound mean here, but it's Shawn Spears. It's Ty Dillinger. It's Perfect 10. He's a damn good worker. He's been built up really well, but he's the guy that to a lot of fans is still kind of that WWE mid-carder and everything. And while a win over Cody would have been huge, again, you got TV in a month. You have time to reheat him. You have time to build him up. Same thing with Kenny Omega and these other guys. It's a clean slate, in my humble opinion. Now, if they keep beating him and beating him and beating him, then yeah, I'm going to ask what the hell's going on. But in this case, I think you got time. You can even do a storyline where Shawn Spears tries to get back on Cody's good side. They end up teaming. MJF tells him, no, don't do it. And instead of Shawn Spears turning on Cody, you have MJF turn on Cody, and you build up that feud. Perhaps that's the direction they're going in. We had maybe the most insane match of the night other than the Cracker Barrel Clash. The Lucha Brothers, Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr., defeated the Young Bucks to retain the AAA Lucha Libre Tag Team titles. Easy for me to say. Insane match. These guys, it's like they watched the first couple TLC matches in WWE history and were like, you know what? Let's combine all those things and then multiply it by 10. This was absolutely insane. There was a Canadian destroyer off of a ladder through a table. There were simultaneous dives through tables, dives through ladders, on ladders. Ridiculously unsafe, ridiculously exciting. I didn't like all the bumps these dudes took, but I'll say this. At least this was in a perceived pay-per-view main event as opposed to a random triple threat match that, with all due respect to the gentleman involved, people are going to forget in a couple months. This was at least, in a main event, co-main event slot. And after the match, LAX attacked both teams. I don't think they're LAX anymore, but of Impact Wrestling fame, the current LAX, not the Homicide and Hernandez version, and Santana and Ortiz lay them both teams out. And man, if you look at the tag team division between Private Party and Angelico and Jack Evans, the Lucha Brothers, the Young Bucks, the Dark Order, the Best Friends, I am liking what I am seeing with AEW's tag team division. Factor in maybe some teams we don't expect, like maybe Cody and MJF or Cody reunited with Shawn Spears, and yeah, from top to bottom, they might have the best tag team division right now in all of wrestling. And I don't think that's that blasphemous to say. WWE has the talent, but given how they've actually utilized the tag team division, I think right now advantage goes to AEW. And then lastly, we had our main event. Chris Jericho defeating Adam Page to win the AEW World title. This went 26 minutes, 25 seconds. I think if you cut this down by 5 to 10 minutes, it would have been a great match, but it was very good. Some people said that, hey, maybe the Young Bucks should have gone on last, and from an action standpoint, maybe. But, these guys had a tough out. Crowd was burned out. Match started late. The show didn't end till near midnight. I think it was around like 11:55 when I went live for my recap for that one. But Jericho becomes your first AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Actually, technically, I think it's called the AEW World Championship. So kind of like ROH, there's no heavyweight there, it's just the World Championship. And I think it was a good move. Adam Page sold like $1 million for Jericho's spinning elbow called the Judas Effect. 1, 2, 3. And after the show on the YouTube stream, when they did the AEW post show, Jericho was celebrating. He wanted to be thanked. Nobody wanted to thank him. And Pac, I found out it's pronounced Pac this week. Pac confronted Adam Page afterwards, and I guess they're going to be finally doing that feud, and it looks like Neville is finally, officially signed with AEW. Some other news and notes in the Casino Battle Royale. We had a lot of young talent and a lot of surprise talents. We had Shalandra Royale get eliminated by Nyla Rose. Leva Bates, the Librarian, get eliminated by Nyla Rose. Fabi Apache got eliminated by Nyla Rose. Priscilla Kelly got eliminated by Nyla Rose. Penelope Ford got eliminated by Nyla Rose. Shaza McKenzie got eliminated by Britt Baker. Sadie Gibbs was eliminated by B. Priestley. According to SquaredCircleSirens.com and Casey Michael, the editor, who's very well connected in the women's wrestling front, Sadie and B apparently had some kind of altercation backstage. For those that don't know who B is, she is the current Stardom Women's Champion in Japan. Very highly regarded women's wrestler. And also Will Ospreay's real-life girlfriend. And I guess those two have some beef. Hopefully they squashed it. Big Swole got eliminated by Nyla Rose. And Britt Baker got eliminated by B. Priestley and Nyla Rose. Tenille Dashwood of Impact fame, and she was like an afterthought in this match. She was eliminated by Awesome Kong. Ivelisse from Lucha Underground was eliminated by Awesome Kong. B. Priestley was eliminated by Britt Baker. Brandy Rhodes, who also I thought would last a little bit longer, was eliminated by Britt Baker and Allie, a.k.a. Cherry Bomb. And Awesome Kong was eliminated by Sadie B. and ODB, yes, of TNA fame. Allie eliminated by Nyla Rose. Nicole Savoy was eliminated by Nyla Rose. Teal Piper, the daughter of Roddy Piper, also unfortunately kind of an afterthought in this match, eliminated by Awesome Kong. ODB eliminated by Britt Baker. Jazz eliminated by Nyla Rose. Yep, former WWE Women's Champion and NWA Women's Champion Jazz. And Mercedes Martinez, who was the Joker of this Casino Battle Royale, eliminated by Britt Baker. It was nice to see Britt Baker back from a concussion. And it was nice to see Mercedes Martinez do her thing. Hopefully she signed full time. She's an absolute legend on the independent scene. I remember watching her years and years ago. It's great to still see her around. I was so happy when she popped up in the Mae Young Classic, and I hope that we continue to see her on national television. So overall, I'd say AEW All Out, definitely a thumbs up. Now, what's to come? Well, we have AEW Full Gear in November 9, 2019. Royal Farms Arena, which holds about 14,000 for concerts in Baltimore, Maryland. Of course, we don't have that many pay-per-views that have car themes. We only have had Over the Limit and Fastlane and Roadblock End of the Line. But hey, why not Full Gear? So that'll be taking place November 9th. Tickets have not gone on sale yet. We also have, as I mentioned before, a few matches scheduled for the debut edition of AEW on TNT October 2nd. Rio versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's World title. That is taking place then. We have a 6-man tag that's going to be real interesting. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on Chris Jericho and 2 mystery partners. Cody Rhodes did mention a little while back that the first match we'll likely see on AEW and TNT is Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara, who's a really talented young cat. Very interesting stuff coming up on the AEW front. Also, some kind of sort of sad news here. Now, we don't really know what's going on. I don't want to pry too deeply into this because clearly it looks like it's some type of issue, either medically, mentally. But Kylie Rae, who was supposed to be AEW's version of Bayley, maybe even better as far as how she's marketed and everything, she has been granted her release by Tony Khan and AEW. Tony Khan did confirm this to Fightful and other media outlets that were in attendance for the post-fight scrum on Saturday night. We don't know what's going on. All we know is that she hasn't been seen for months. She hasn't been heard from for months. She did post, a graphic of AEW on TNT on her Instagram a couple months back, but other than that, she's been radio silent, and I'm assuming that means that she's done. I mean, Rover, who's a Twitter insider, hinted that she's probably done with wrestling. A few other people have hinted. Dave Meltzer's been very cryptic about it. I don't know what's going on. All I can say is that I hope and pray that she's healthy, happy, and hopefully, maybe selfishly, we see her again in a wrestling ring. She was really talented. She seemed to be getting over. She definitely had a following on the independent scene, and yeah, I don't know what to say. Here you are, a person that's been busting your ass, dedicating your life to your craft. You get this big break, a probably very generous contract offer from AEW. You get to be on national TV every week, and then you just quit? Yeah, something's definitely up. Whatever the case may be, I wish Kylie Rae the very best, and I sincerely hope everything is okay. Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Jonathan Good, has been nursing an elbow infection. Unfortunately, MRSA came back to his elbow. He had surgery. He's going to be on the shelf for the next month. He says he's going to be back in time for AEW TV, but if I were AEW, I would keep him off TV for a little while, give him some vignettes, some backstage stuff, but keep him out of the ring, let him heal up fully, and bring him in when he is 110%. Here's what I would also do. If I'm AEW, I know that he has a clause in his contract that says he could wrestle for New Japan. Guess what? I'm taking whatever money New Japan's giving him, and I'm putting that into his AEW contract so he only wrestles exclusively for me, because the stakes are getting higher and higher, and when you got a top talent like Jon Moxley, who has been on another gear since leaving WWE, you do not want to risk him wrestling in other places that ain't your wheelhouse. Now, if they make a deal with New Japan, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. It's mutually beneficial. There could be talent exchanges, Okada on TNT, Tanahashi on TNT. That would be freaking great. Kenny Omega in the Tokyo Dome. Oh, hell yeah. But if New Japan doesn't want to do that, guess what? If I'm AEW, pay some more money to Jericho, pay some more money to Moxley, and don't let these guys compete anywhere but in AEW. It's too much of a risk, in my humble opinion. WWE, they used to do talent exchanges, and then it got to the point where this guy got hurt, that guy got hurt, and they had to pull back. I do like synergy, I do like partnerships, but you got to pick your spots. And if AEW's not benefiting from Jon Moxley in New Japan or Chris Jericho in New Japan, then they may have to pull back. I'm going to get on out of here. I hope you enjoyed this AEW Week in Review. If you enjoyed this update, please like, share, take care, subscribe, and enable notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, as always, enjoy the matches.